Hey guys, Gabe Eltaeb, Big Man Comics. We're going Big Man Comics live, so you guys can talk to me. You can ask me questions. You can see what I'm up to. You can find out what's the latest with Big Man Comics. We can just have a normal conversation about life and all that good stuff. I'm working on another page of The Unstoppable Tyrus. Pencils by my good buddy Acheon, and of course, inks by me. And it's a lesson in illustration. I really am learning from a master. I think one thing American comics is really missing is the master apprentice thing. And it was one of the oldest parts of art that made art so effective. And we don't have that in the culture of comics. We for whatever reason there's this insecurity slash arrogance about Grack RPG says, what up, Gabe? Hey, what up to you, buddy? There's this insecurity masked with arrogance about I did it all myself. Nobody taught me. I reinvented the wheel. I invented art and illustration. And it shouldn't be that way. You should humble yourself. And if someone is better than you at drawing, learn from them. You should thank God you can find people better than you at things. And you can not steal, but learn all their knowledge as an apprentice. You know what I mean? So my buddy Acheon, he's a master illustrator. I think, the best illustrator I've ever worked with. And I've worked with hundreds of artists in my many years at mostly DC, a little bit at Marvel and everywhere else. And I've never met anyone who's more fundamentally sound as an artist. No one. He understands everything. He knows how to work hard, and there's nothing he isn't capable of as an artist. He has a comprehensive understanding. He's European. He went to one of the finest animation and art schools in Europe, very selective school. And he worked at the highest levels as an animator for Disney at the end of that second renaissance there, working on Emperor's New Groove and Tarzan and I think maybe The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Maybe that was a little bit before his time. The Goofy movie, Brother Bear. He worked on all that great stuff. And I've worked with him since we worked together on Aquaman in 2016. We got paired up there. I didn't know who he was. And we became fast friends. And, we connected because we both are very much workers. There's a lot of artists that are dreamers. They're lazy. Let's just put it that way. Let's be men. One thing about men is we don't need to use soft language. We need to just be honest as men. Just call a spade a spade. A lot of artists are lazy bums. Sorry, it's true. And they're very caught up in their feelings and being a rock star and everybody praise me and not a lot of working. A lot of being lazy. A lot of dreaming of being a star and having everyone think you're fantastic. But one thing I really connected with Acheon is his love of hard work, which is a passion of mine, is to work hard. It is called, after all, it's called artwork. This is my artwork. And I don't see a lot of work coming from colleagues. It's one thing that always disturbed me was how, and I don't know if it's an anxiety problem or just pure laziness or both, but how much overthinking, how much paralysis through analysis there is with a lot of artists I know. And there is an aspect in art to, hey, get it out there. Like you can make it perfect later if that's really so important to you. But I think like being concerned about things being perfect is ego, and it's weakness. It's really a weakness. It's like nothing is perfect because we're humans. So you do need to be concerned with getting it done. And I do think there's unfortunately, since art is performative, there is an aspect of look at me to it. That doesn't really mean much to me, and I know I'm kind of unique in that way. I'm not that kind of person that really wants to be a star or have people worship me or anything. But one thing I did find when I went to Arnold's voice, Jamie, right? Which one is that? Is that with Tabo Man? Is that from Jingle All the Way? Jamie, I think that's from that movie, which I think is an underrated holiday classic, Jingle All the Way. I kind of like that one. What was I going to say? Oh, about being lazy and when I started art school, I went to the University of Northern Colorado, and I never hung around artists when I was young. I was a football player. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". I talk about that a lot. It's a big part of who I am. But because it informed my life, being big, being so unusually big, it matters. People talk about it. You get asked to do things. It does affect your life. It is different being big. And so I wasn't around artists, artsy fartsy types, not my kind of guys, not my kind of gals. And when I went to college, I got into the visual arts department. And one thing that was very not disillusioning, is that a word? Disillusioning. Um, One thing that was disappointing, that's a way better term, was how little love there was for art. I genuinely love art. I love it. I love it for the sake of it. I think it is such a miracle that we have art as human beings. And what I noticed about a lot of artists, I'm drawing this wavy hair. What I noticed about so many artists was that they were obsessed with the idea of being a star, standing on that stage and receiving that award and receiving the praise and all of this, what I deem selfish need for external validation. And it wasn't just about the art. And that it didn't confuse me. I mean, I know what selfishness is and arrogance, but I didn't know it was what I saw and what I observed. And now being a professional for over a quarter century is, as the French say, de rigueur, is the norm. I didn't know that about artists because I didn't hang around artists. I genuinely loved art. I didn't need to hang around artists. It didn't need to be my identity. I didn't need to wear a turtleneck and tell everyone about the lifestyle of an artist or whatever. I just loved art. I don't know why. It's how God made me. I just love to draw, and that's enough for me. My audience is me. That's who I make the art for. I love to do it, then look back at it and go, wow, I like that. That looks great. I don't need anyone to tell me it's great. Now I love you to buy it because this is how I pay my bills. And when you get money for art, that's how you get to keep doing it. But believe me, this is for me. Now you're going to love it when you buy it, but I do it for the love of it, for the love of the game. And I didn't know that there were people that did it for the praise. And it feels naive now, I guess, you know. But yeah, when I was young and I went to art school, I did not know that's how it was. But yeah, I think a lot of artists, and you could go into all kinds of theories why they seek and need the external validation. But that anyone that knows me knows that that's never been my thing. I'm not that way. I don't think anything is a big deal that you do that makes you a better person than others. Like, ooh, I'm better than you because I'm better at drawing or whatever. Like, I'm better at drawing. This doesn't mean I'm a better human being. It doesn't mean I have more value as a human. God loves me more. I'm more important, blah, blah, blah. I don't, all those are very weird notions to me that don't seem to make much sense because I don't think they're based in any sort of reality. That's very strange. Like, oh, I'm better than you because I'm better at baking cakes or I'm better at singing opera or I'm better at doing something. So now I'm a better person. That's highly illogical, right? As Mr. Spock would say in Star Wars. Just kidding. I know it's Star Trek. I don't like Star Trek. I like Star Wars. I don't like Star Wars anymore because Disney turned it into commie gobbledygook. But I never liked Star Trek. It always felt really boring to me. It felt like really nerdy. Even though Star Wars is nerdy, there's something about Star Wars that is very much more popcorny, very pop culture. There's something about at least the classic Star Wars from the 70s and the 80s. The new stuff is awful. Somebody once asked a question. It was 10 years ago. Someone asked the question, what if Star Wars was woke and gay? And now we have our answer, right? That was the question asked in 2015 by the people at Disney. Hey, Gabe, what was the first comic you worked on professionally? I did a 6-part backup for Trailer Park of Terror. I colored 6 pages of a horror comic book, and I still see that guy at San Diego Comic-Con. He has a tiny little booth in the red, indie press area, and it was Trailer Park of Terror, a 6-page story where a kid gets kidnapped and a guy kills him and bakes him into a pie. It was kind of those 1950s EC comics. Look at the green screen to my green bottle of water. I colored a little bit of an image comic that Tony Daniel illustrated as a sample. I forget what it was called. And I just posted that on the Image Comics message boards. And this guy that ran this horror company, I don't even remember what the horror comics were called, asked me if I want to do a 6-page comic. The first comics I did professionally is a Garfield Dilbert type strip called Higher Education. I wrote it and illustrated. What you guys don't know is, yeah, I do like superhero comics, and I love them. Adventure, action comics, all that stuff. But my first love was newspaper strips. When I was 8 years old, my mom took me to the library in Rancho Bernardo, California, and I got one of those Garfield digests. And I read it and I loved it. And I've always been a comedian. I've always written comedy. And years later, when I was in college at the University of Northern Colorado, I wanted to, I've always been trying to get jobs as an artist professionally. And I was probably 21 or 22, and I was at the San Diego Comic-Con in July. And college is going to start at the end of August. And I went up to Frank Cho, who I loved, and I've been trying to get art jobs for a long time, doing this, doing that. And I asked him, how did you start? And then this is the year 2000. So Frank Cho wasn't exactly huge just yet. He was just about to explode into comics. And he said at the University of Maryland, he did the strip University Squared for the Maryland University newspaper. So I went back to the University of Northern Colorado a few weeks later, and I walked into the UNC Mirror, that is the University of Northern Colorado Mirror, that's the newspaper. I told them, your comics are not funny and they're not drawn well. I'm funny and I draw well. And I handed them this giant Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. It was like an 18 by 24 like pencil drawing, and hired me on the spot. And I wrote and drew those for the next basically 2 years and change. And all I did was win every freaking award you can win for my comedy writing and illustration there. So I should redo some of those someday and reprint them or something like that, show you guys what I was up to. But yeah, I do have a penchant for comedy. My daughter's a professional stand-up comedian, very successful now. Her career's really taken off. And in the past, I've and still to this day, she'll come to me and I'll collaborate with her on jokes because I do understand comedy writing very well. It is a skill, but it is genetic too. I do have that comedic sensibility and timing, that improv kind of thinking. And yeah, my daughter has it because again, it's genetic. My dad has it. My uncle has it. It's just a thing that you're born with. You can learn comedy, but you're just kind of born with that kind of quick wit where your brain processes language so well that you see the language patterns, because that's all comedy is language patterns. It's just unexpected. So the logic is A plus B equals C, right? That's like a logic of an idea. All a joke is more logic, but it's A plus B is D. And so it's still true what you're saying. It's just unexpected. And that's what makes it funny. So if you ever want to know how to write a joke, it's A plus B is D, right? And that's where the punchline comes in. You're like, because it still makes sense, but you never saw it coming. That's all it is. That's how simple it is to write jokes. Star Trek is a brain thing. Star Wars is tough stuff. Yeah, and me, I mean, I'm a big guy, lift weights. I love fighting. I love sports. I'm not a normie though. Like, let's watch football 8 hours a day. Like that's a trick to get you to not be effective by the powers that be. That's the bread and circus, right? Don't watch sports, guys. Watch sports highlights or subscribe to the online sports thing where you can watch the football game like in a half hour at night after the NFL day is over. You can watch your favorite team like in a half-hour clip of all the highlights and plays. Don't sit there and watch football all day. And you can do that a couple days a year if you're with your boys, with your grandpa and your uncles and the men in your life, and do it as a positive male bonding thing. But don't be like on FanDuel and gambling and living and dying with the Denver Broncos. And when I didn't have anything going on in life and I was 18 or 19 and I was trying to get into Wildstorm as a comic book artist and I was broke, working this job, working that job, I was a sports junkie. And I realized, later in life how derailing it is to be like so into sports, because you're cheering on millionaires that, they don't hate you, but they don't know you and they don't care. They don't care about you and your well-being. And why the hell should they? So yeah, sports is a psyop to be into sports. If you're going home and you're watching Sports Center and blah, 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 you're like, you're slowing yourself down. It's like you're trying to run somewhere, but you're looking backwards the whole time. Don't do that. You can love sports and what they mean for masculinity and determination and achieving things, but it's about everything. Let's talk about this. It's always better to be a producer than a consumer, right? So I'm on social media. I'm here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I'm on everywhere. It's more important that I tweet more than I read tweets. It's more important that I try to make more YouTube content than I consume. Now, right now, I'm not doing that because The only thing I watch is YouTube. I don't have TV. I got rid of it or whatever, but because it's not good for you, right? All that stuff is brainwashing, and but yeah, try to produce more than you consume, and that's how you win at social media, you know. So let's see. You're one of the rare ones, Gabe. Well, thank you. Analysis paralysis. Yeah, Grok RPG, that could be anxiety, and I'm no therapist, and this is not professional medical advice, but thinking causes anxiety and acting cures it. Let's say you're a male, I think you are, and there's a cute girl you want to talk to. You see her across the room. Oh man, if you talk to her, she could say no. She could laugh at you in front of all her friends. What's going to happen? What if you go up and you don't know what to say? Well, and you can just keep doing that and doing like your brain's going to explode. Or you can count to 3 and just walk up to her and say, "Hey, I'm Grok RPG. I thought you looked cute. I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to get to know you." And just taking action, ripping the Band-Aid off, cures anxiety. Thinking causes it. So if you're having, as they say in French, paralysis par analysis, I think that's what Akian told me. He's French. Paralysis through analysis. Don't overthink it. As Nike said, just do it. A lot of people ask me, how do you do things? Like, what do you mean, how do you do it? Watch me. This is how you do it. Like, how do you make a comic? How do you do this? You just do it. I've had to teach my daughter that, and thankfully she's been amenable to it about being a comedian. Like, go ask. She's opened up for huge people lately. On New Year's, she's opened up for Steve Byrne. He's a great, famous comedian. He's all over the internet. She just asked, "Hey, you're going to be in San Diego on New Year's Eve. I live here. Can I open for you?" He let her open. They had a great night. He loved her and thought she was hilarious. She's opening up for Jeff Garland soon. She's opened up for David Lucas. She's doing shows here and there all over. And it's like, you got to ask and you got to just do it. Just go do it. It turns out like this saying has been said a lot because Trump is changing the government by just doing things with Elon and those people. It's like, it turns out you could just do things. And this is what we lost when we lost masculinity as a driving force of the culture. There's an old French saying about men must do, women must be. And men and masculine culture is about doing. That our brains are literally, a word that is so overused, and I want to quit saying literally, wired to do. As men, we are wired to do. Okay, I'm in the kitchen, you're not. You're in the living room. I take the kitchen, a chair in the kitchen, I lay it on its side on the ground. You walk into the kitchen as a man, what do you do immediately? Pick it up. You must do, you must do, you must do. That's how you feel. You're wired that. You don't choose that. That's literally how you're wired. Literally, see, I gotta fucking stop saying that. That is how you are wired. Because the reason you got to stop saying literally is like, it's redundant. It's superfluous, right? You're using you don't need to say it. Gosh damn it. I blame young women. Literally, it's like literally. They say it so much. They literally say literally so much. It's really annoying. I catch myself doing it a lot lately. I literally catch myself doing it a lot lately. But and as a woman, women can exist in a state of arousal without needing resolution. Now, what do I mean by that? A woman could walk in and see a chair knocked over and pick it up or whatever, but she could also stand there and goes, "Why is this knocked down? Why is this like this? I don't like this. This is bothering me." And women can be just in their feelings and not do anything about it. That's the whole thing. When if you have a wife, you have a girlfriend, and they come to you with the problem or something, or someone is bothering them, and you offer a solution, they get mad at you. You're like, "You're not even listening to me." And they didn't want a solution. They just wanted to roll around in the feelings. And men are not wired that way. We're wired to do. So everything you've been living in for 80 years, the last 80 years of American Western culture, has been telling you men and maleness are just wrong. It's just wrong to be male, which is totally incorrect. Literally, it's literally incorrect. And it is bigotry, and it's not soft bigotry. It's real horrible bigotry against men. Because the powers that be, they know what men really are, and men are a threat to the powers that be's awful control and subjugation of society. So they want you all fucked up and crazy and hating yourself as a man, so you won't do anything to end their bullshit where they rip you off and use you. But it turns out you can just do anything. You can just do things. You don't need to ask. You're a man. Go and do it. If it's the right thing to do, then go and do it. You don't need to ask people. You don't need to worry what people are going to think. Let's see. Jose Taco. Gabe, if a comic is made outside Japan, is it manga? Is it style? Who makes it? I mean, I don't like that whole, well, it's not champagne if it doesn't come from the Champagne region of France. That is a declaration by people, and it isn't a law of physics. And the way I look at things is it's a law of physics. A comic or a manga is whatever the creator decides it is. Now I do believe in definitions. I believe that up is up and down is down. But if you make a comic in the style of a manga, and a manga has certain attributes, right? They're serial. They usually have a beginning, middle, and end. They don't go on for decades like Batman or Superman or Spider-Man. And they're done at that 5 point whatever inch by whatever. They're done at that digest size. They're typically black and white. They typically use a lot of gray tones. If you do it in the manga style, whether you're from the manga region of France or not, it's a manga. Tell me why it wouldn't be. It has to be created in that city to be manga, in that region, in that country. Well, what if mangaka is a comic book creator, is what the manga comic book creators, they're called mangaka, right? What if a mangaka, the greatest, Rumiko Takahashi, she did Ranma 1/2. She's a hilarious comedic writer. She's a great creator of manga. What if she moved to Dallas, Texas, and made her comics there? Are there still manga? Do you see why that's stupid? Of course there's still manga, because she's doing what she did in wherever she lives in Japan. I don't know her. Let's just say Tokyo. I don't know where she's from. So if she did it in Tokyo, she wrote the first half of a Ranma digest, which she doesn't make Ranma anymore. She wrote it in Tokyo, and then she moved to Dallas for whatever reason. She fell in love with a cowboy and moved to Dallas to live by him. And then she finished the second half of that book there and published it and printed it here and all that. Is it still a manga? Of course it is. So the answer to your question, yes, of course it is. Tell me how a Japanese mangaka creator making half a book in Tokyo and finishing it in Dallas wouldn't be manga. I dare you to tell me that, because you can't. So the answer is yes, of course it is. That's silly. It's like, is Dijon mustard if it's made out of the Dijon region of France? Of course it is. Let's not be stupid. The reason people do stuff like that is gatekeeping, okay? But the way human beings travel and have access to moving around the globe today, do you think that everything a Japanese mangaka, a Japanese manga creator, you think everything they've ever done or drawn is made in Japan? Do you think when they leave and go on vacation and say they go to Europe or they go somewhere else, they don't bring their art and do some art? I'll tell you right now, I'm an artist. I've made art away from my home because that's what you do, because that's how the schedule works. Now, I make most of the art here at home. Is a big man comic, my comics, are they big man comics if I make them outside of San Diego? I'm not trying to put you down or insult you, but you see, after thinking about it for just a second, it's a silly question. Of course it's a manga. Of course it is. So, War Shark Production. Hey, Gabe, I got a critical question. How do you write a graphic novel properly? Do you type it like a book or a movie script? I want to know. That doesn't have a definite answer. Different writers have different styles, and it depends on who's illustrating. Are you illustrating yourself? Are you hiring an artist? Are you hiring a rookie artist? Are you hiring a veteran artist? I write in the 3-act Hollywood movie, hero's journey style. I do not write panel descriptions, and I don't really write much dialogue because I'm working with a veteran artist. I trust him to come up with the panel ideas for himself, because I think if I came up with them, I'd be holding him back and he'd be bored. Now, if I'm working with a younger artist, I would art direct and give them panel descriptions, but I always give freedom to the artists I hire. If I want it exactly my way, then I need to draw it. I understand that hiring someone else to color, which I do, hiring someone else to draw, which I do, that's them. They're a human being. Now, there are things I need in it for sure, but we'll talk about that. But I don't tend to hire anyone young. Everyone I hire has multi-decades of experience. I don't want to mess around. I'm 46 years old. I feel I'm too old to be hiring young people. Sorry. Unless I saw a young person and I couldn't tell they were young by the art, like, wow, they're blowing me away. But it isn't just about draftsmanship. Like, the comics aren't just about endless details. I know normies are dazzled by details, and I hate to be a snob, but I'm going to be a snob for just a second, so allow it. Okay, but when you hear it, you're going to know I'm right. There is such a thing as taste, and there is such a thing as bad taste. I see people every day when I drive past a Taco Bell or a Burger King. Those people, that's bad taste in food. Now, maybe you're hungry. Maybe that's all you can afford. Fine. I haven't eaten at either of those places in like 20 something years. Literally, there's that fucking word again. Since college, I have not eaten at a Taco Bell since 2001, and a Burger King probably at least 10, 15 years because it's disgusting. Okay. And that's not great taste in food. And there are people who love art, and especially when we're younger, and I'm guilty of it, you love detail. You think detail is the be all end all. And the older you get, you realize, no, it's more about abstraction, and cartooning is actually more fun. And it is actually a more sophisticated art to cartoon more because you are meeting the challenge of saying more with less, you know. So Gabe, have you dabbled drawing in a Japanese manga style? I have tried it. There's a book I'm going to do, Jericho Green and the Hammerheads. It's very much like the Goonies and Stranger Things. It's a fun kid adventure. And I want to draw it in the style of Katsushiro Otomo, who made the greatest comic book / manga of all time, Akira. So we'll see if I can pull that off. Might just do it in a Disney movie style. It's definitely for younger people. I mean, anyone will be able to read it. Like anyone can watch Stranger Things in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Teenagers can watch it, but I want it to be playful. You know what I mean? And I think there's a certain confidence you need to do artwork that has a younger style. You know what I mean? So Grok RPG, if you're working on a new property, do the artists hired come up with the characters look, or is that worked out before the comic starts being made? Well, it depends what you want. I mean, the creator of the comic, the creator of the characters, they have an idea in mind. Like for this, the Unstoppable Tyrus, I created Cindy, the character here. I found a model that I liked, like a human being model, sent some pictures of that to the artist. I obviously sent pictures of Tyrus to Acheon, and I had some other guy in mind for this character, Riley. But then I said, do some concept art for them. And because I'm working with the veteran artists, I'd say, have fun with it. Go wild. If you got better ideas, let me know. Now, I told you guys, I come from a sports background. So to me, it's always best idea wins. I'm the boss. It's my company. It's my money, right? I'm the one paying these artists. But again, if I'm paying an artist, I have to expect that they're going to inject their self-expression into it. I can't be upset when it's not exactly what I imagined, as long as it's good and does meet the narrative I want to tell. I can't be like, no, it has to be exactly like this. Trace what I'm doing. Again, if I want them to trace what I'm doing, then I need to just do it myself and not hire people. So to me, there's always freedom when you hire artists. That's why you hire veteran artists that know what the hell they're doing. That's why I'm not hiring, young, unreliable, unproven people. Sorry. As the company grows, maybe we'll have room to bring in people and mentor and train. But for now, it's like, no, I want to know what I'm getting. So I'm going to hire people that are have a proven track record of A, being good at what they do, and then B, being reliable. Because one of the worst things that goes on in normal mainstream comics, but also especially indie comics, is blown deadlines. And I don't know what this is. I don't know why it's so hard for people to have a calendar and stick to it. I do it. I don't have any special powers to do that. I can just read and understand a calendar. Say, okay, I got this much work and I got this many days. Let's do some very basic. What's that about? Let's do some very basic arithmetic. I think I had the basic because of the arithmetic. Let's do some very basic arithmetic and see what I probably need to get done today, this week, this month to make it. Like this Tyrus book, I'm trying to get it done before Comic-Con in July, which is the end of July. I don't know that I will because I have to letter Empyrean. I have to rewrite Dean Cain All-American Lawman Volume 2. I have to write this other book, Tripoli. I have a lot of things that I'm doing. So we'll see. But right now we're running pretty close. But again, I'm not going to crowdfund and then delay it forever and then be late and not give updates and excuses and blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. I've been a professional, paid professional since the year 2000. I've never missed a deadline. That's over 25 years now. You don't have to. You don't have to miss deadlines. It's never, or you never have to. I mean, things happen like family stuff or someone could, you could have a problem. To me, that's not what I mean when I mean missing a deadline. My mom had, she's fine now, but my mom had breast cancer and I had to drop out of doing 2 issues of a book for Robert Kirkman, and they were so awesome. They welcomed me right back when I was done going to where my mom lived and taking care of her and this and that and the other. And so did I miss that deadline? No. My mother being ill like that was not me being lazy. That's life. So I understand that. I'm talking about when you're screwing around and playing video games and doing this and doing that for hours and days and weeks and months on end and traveling and not doing your work because people have crowdfunded you a bunch of money and now you think it's time to mess around. That I don't think I could deal with the anxiety of doing that in public. That would really bother me because, like, well, I know you guys gave me money and you guys know you gave me money and wow, what's he doing at the NBA All-Star game? What's he doing in Vegas again? What's he doing there? And then the book is, 3 years late. And so, that's a willful choice. Again, things happening, whether it's health problems for your family member, like your mom or something, or that is not what I mean when I say missing a deadline. So missing a deadline, I mean being lazy. That's what I mean. Being irresponsible, being lazy. That's what I mean when I mean missing a deadline. We all know the difference. Everyone does. Don't be silly. It doesn't need to be explained. Everyone knows the difference there. So yeah. Those are my thoughts on that. But yeah, you're gonna love this book. This is page 42. I took a little bit of time off. Last week was a bit of a slow week. I've been doing 6 pages a week. I only got 4 done last week. I had some stuff come up, had to do this, had to do that. And I did break my rule. I didn't go inside the park, but I told you I don't want to give Disney a penny, right? Because they're woke. And I went to downtown Disney. Downtown Disney are the restaurants and shops between Disneyland and Disneyland California Adventure. And I actually went there yesterday. Went there, had lunch at this cafe they have that is so good. The food's so good. And then I bought my granddaughter a Lion King action figure, like PVC playset. I know. It's the first time I've given the Disney Corporation money since December of a year ago. So it's been a good 14 months since I've given them a penny. So I broke my own rule, and I did do it, and I have to confess to you guys. I'm sorry. I am sorry. The food was good, though. But I think things are changing, most of you, I think, that I talked to, or at least a good chunk of you, are not Californians. And I made a video this morning. I posted it. I'm going to have videos posted again, hopefully 4 days a week. But I took a lot of time off last week. I just had a lot to deal with. But I'm trying to be back here doing these live shows 4 days a week solo. And then Fridays with my friend Jericho, we'll be talking about being fathers and culture and stuff like that. I forgot my train of thought because I started reading that question. Ungoy Boy says he's sadly. Oh, I hope he's not sad. Jose Taco, what do you think of the art style in the new Spider-Man cartoon? I enjoy the style, but something seems off. And he says he grew up in Azusa in the 80s. Azusa, for those who don't know, is right there. It's near Disneyland. Azusa is a city there. The new Spider-Man cartoon, I have not watched it. The art style looks terrible to me. It looks really, really stiff and wooden, and I can tell that's not animated like people animate. Those are 3D models made to look like animations because like they turn like robots and stuff. The stuff I've seen, it looks dreadful. It doesn't look dignified. Art, it matters, and it matters to do a good job. And if you're just trying to get the bottom line all the time and do everything as cheap and stupid as possible, well, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get crap. And it looks like crap, and Spider-Man's such a layup. If you haven't read the original 1960s Spider-Man, do yourself a favor and go pick those up. They sell these books called the Marvel Essentials like 20 years ago. I don't know if they still print this stuff. But they were giant phone books, basically, black and white, cheap, like newsprint paper. And it was, they printed the first, I think couple hundred issues that way. So it's a cheap way to get them. And they're just charming and they're fun. And there's no pretense. And they're accessible to anyone. And if you read that stuff and you look at what they've done with Spider-Man, you'd be astonished. A lot of the stuff, the woke stuff, the dumb stuff. But yeah, I think that cartoon looks horrible visually. It might be a good cartoon, like maybe the writing's good or whatever, but I think it looks like crap if you're asking me my honest opinion. And I do think I should give you my honest opinion of things. Now, do I think the artists are horrible that are doing it? No, I don't think that. I think they're probably world-class, amazing artists. And unfortunately, when you're working for people, you got to do what they say. When you're working for a big corporation, the bottom line is money. It's not art. Believe it or not, a big art company, their bottom line is not art. Those giant corporations, their bottom line is money. And that's just how that is. And if you want to do what I'm doing, where it can be art first and still make a lot of money, see, I have the best of both worlds. I can make great money and make the art that I love, that I'm proud of. You need to be independent. You need to be the captain of your own ship. And that scares the piss out of most people. And I'm telling you, that's a psyop. If you think about human history, did we have industrialization and corporations for most of human history? No. Where did you work for most of human history? For yourself. That's where you worked. It isn't new. It isn't innovative. It isn't some new scary thing to try. Working for yourself is the norm. Working for others is the new thing of the last, 200 years or so. So you've been tricked that working for others is the norm and working for yourself, an entrepreneur. Ooh, that's big and scary. No, it isn't. It's the norm. It's what you would have done 3 years ago, is work for yourself on your family farm, or being a leather tanner, or shoeing horses, or whatever the hell it was. It would have been you. And it's, you should get back to that. It's a joy to work for yourself. It's, you feel like a man. You're captain of your own ship, in charge of your own destiny. It's beyond rewarding. So yeah. And it took a leap of faith. It took fear, because I'm not immune. I was brainwashed too. I always knew. I was told, my kids are going to be 28 soon, and one's 26, 27, 26. Or wait a minute. My point is, I always told my kids growing up, and they're doing it now, don't work for anyone else a minute longer than you have to. My daughter's a stand-up comedian, and my son's a commercial real estate broker. So they're basically both self-employed. Yeah. Oh, Ungoy Boy says he's sadly still in California. Well, I made a video you're going to want to watch. I recorded it this morning. Here, let me pop it on the screen. Present, share screen. And you shouldn't be sad about being here. That's my video for tomorrow. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. They're not getting me to leave. And I'll give you a quick overview why I'm not leaving. Look at what Trump is doing to America. Dismantling this deep state thing in real time before our eyes. Something we've all assumed was impossible. And it's happening. It's finally happening. People thought, I've lived, 46 and change years of my life, and it's always been the other way, where the elites had what they wanted, and at our expense, the quote unquote peasants, how they see us, right? And it just looked inevitable and endless and unstoppable, and like it would never change. And yet here we are, and it is actually real. And it doesn't feel real to me in some ways. It doesn't feel, it's like, pinch me, wake me up. Like, is this real? Is Elon Musk and Trump, and are they really destroying the global order of endless fake wars and money for the rich, and every screw over the little guy, and and just taking away freedom of speech? And are they actually destroying that? And they are, and it's real, and it's really happening. Jewish Family Services is one of those scam NGOs, non-government organizations, and it's based here in San Diego. And they got, I think, $22 million a year or something to shelter illegal immigrants. They're not undocumented, illegal immigrants. And then I saw in the morning news here in San Diego, they're shutting down. And since Trump was inaugurated, they don't have one illegal immigrant coming into Jewish Family Services here. And that's our money through USAID used to destroy us, to serve interests that will hurt American taxpayers that work our asses off to pay these humongous taxes. And they use our own money to give things like Jewish Family Services millions of dollars to bring in illegals and hurt our country, our culture, our state. And that's here in San Diego. So Trump's policies are not just affecting the nation, they're affecting the whole country. So I believe that California will change. I believe we will win. I don't believe what Trump and Elon and all them are doing is localized to just Washington, D.C. I think Trump is going to strong arm Europe. I think he is going to strong arm California and all these communists everywhere, and not ask them nicely to do what he wants, force them. I mean, again, look at this thing that shut, this NGO that was supporting illegals coming here. It shut down today. You understand that? So California is changing. Whether they like it or not, the comedies are going to have to change. Achilles Jones, hey, Gabe, your talent is undeniable. Where do you see Big Man Comics 3 to 5 years? Do you have an undetailed vision? I see Big Man Comics. My goal is to be like Walt Disney. I want it all. TV, movies, music, video games, amusement parks. I want it to be a comprehensive um, entertainment company for families. So I'm doing what Eric July is doing. I'm building carefully and slowly, strategically working with partners. My lawyer's working on a huge contract this week with a marketing distribution. You'll see when it's announced. You'll see. Hopefully we get that deal done. You never know; deals can fall through. But I'm very hopeful. Both parties, me and the other party, we're both very hopeful about it. We both are on the same page and want the same things. So we're going to be getting Big Man Comics out there in an even bigger way, and it's going great. I was so overjoyed to see the announcement of Eric July's company working with Angel Studios to bring that manga or that anime to manga, right? That Gabriel and the Guardians, fantastic. I I laugh because in the face of like absolute facts, to see the people that hate Eric July unreasonably, they just every day it must be more and more embarrassing to hate him. I mean, he hasn't done anything wrong. He's just trying to make a good entertainment company based on the principles he believes in. And people just, I mean, the green-eyed monster of envy is a hell of a drug, right? People hate him because he's successful, because he's disciplined, you know? And it's funny. I like him. He's personally my friend. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good man and he's doing good things. And I'm very proud. And I couldn't be more impressed with someone who's an outsider to comics. The people like me have a 20-something year head start on him. And I'm observing what he's doing, trying to take notes when it should be the other way around, right? I mean, there's a lot I know about comics that he doesn't know as far as just having years of experience, but he has what all great people have: humility to learn. That's what all winners have. They're not arrogant. I know everything. Everyone gather around. Acheon, the illustrator of this book that I'm inking right now, I'm a great illustrator. I'm a world class. I work for the big companies. He's better than me, and I have zero qualms saying that. And I ask him questions, and I send him artwork of mine that I do all by myself. Like, hey, what's up with this? Or give me some pointers here. How do you think I could jazz this up? We had an hour and a half meeting on Friday talking about my inks on this book. And he gave me notes, like 10, 15 things to correct and change. And I asked him to do it. He didn't offer like, hey, I don't like this, change this. I said, hey, when I get to page 40, I'm going to send you the first 40 pages of the Tyrus book. I want you to look at it and give me notes. And he gives me awesome notes and it helps me think. And Eric July, I know him. He's open to having experts around him teach him how to do things better. And that's why you'll see continued success. And for him to announce a major thing like that, a manga through that movie studio, Angel Studios, and that's not a nobody studio. That's one of the bigger religiously themed studios out there. My friend Dean Cain does work for them, and it's not nothing, Angel Studios. I'm sure the the haters will do 3 hours on why this is bad or wrong or evil, and meanwhile just continue to get none of their work done. And I would tell you, like, don't watch other people and worry about them and be jealous and what do they have on their plate and why don't I have it? Worry about you and what you're supposed to be doing. And when you see excellent people succeeding, copy, 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 copy. When you see people succeeding, copy. Don't steal, like, trace their work and, oh, this is mine. Like, no. But if you wanted to be a football player, you'd be stupid not to watch Tom Brady and Peyton Manning's film. Or I guess it could go a bit more modern for youngsters. Patrick Mahomes' film, except for this last Super Bowl, and copy what he's doing. So, okay, he does this, he does that. This is how he eats and sleeps and trains. Yes, there's a blueprint that people blaze trails, and you should be thankful for it instead of envious. And it's hilarious that Eric July, again, is an outsider to comics, yet he's blazing trails. Because what Eric July brought to the table was not necessarily great skill in making comics. That he's learning on the job. What he brought is he did have a great skill in marketing, building hype. And people make fun of that and downplay that. And it's like, no, you can make the best stuff you want. If people don't know it exists and they don't feel excited about it, it's not going to sell. So who cares? I'm going to stop inking for now. And let's get some hype going for my stuff here. So Empyrean, it should be completely colored by the end of this week. I talked to my guy, and he's just turned in the most gorgeous work. And let's go take a look at it. I'll show you Empyrean. Open with preview. Oh, I got to pull it out of the trash. These are JPEGs I threw in. Okay, that's enough. Okay. Relaunch this. Sorry. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to move something up here so you can see it. So Empyrean is a sci-fi epic. They ruined Star Wars, the woke morons. I fixed it. It's a sci-fi epic, a loving husband and wife team, action, adventure, androids, an evil dictator on a planet where he's got everyone fooled that he's this loving leader and he'll provide everything they need as long as they don't question his authority. There's an ancient world that's a paradise, and this scientist, she's discovered it. And there were always these ancient legends about a paradise where the people could leave this authoritarian rule. And she thinks she's discovered it. And the evil dictator doesn't want people to know about it. So let's go check it out. True indeed. He's talking about Eric July stuff, I believe. And then humility to learn. That's a badass quote of ever. You have to. I'm the most curious person alive. And I consider myself smart, but not because I know stuff. It's easy knowing stuff. I know a lot of stuff. You have to know that you don't know things, and you just constantly ask, well, why this? Why that? Why this? Why that? When I ask Akeon how to help me draw, it's always like, well, how did you do this? How did you think about that and stuff like this? That's what I'm asking him. You know, let's get this off the screen here. And okay, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna go in about 5 or 10 minutes. We're gonna hype up. Sorry, we're gonna hype up something. Hold on. Sorry, I'm doing something and trying to be funny at the same time. Okay, these are pages from Empyrean. Okay, this is how good this book is. Okay, I'm not going to say much about it. We're going to fly through some of it though. This is a sci-fi epic, and yeah, it's got a little bit of humor, about the humor of the old Indiana Jones from the 80s. So it's not like a modern Marvel movie. I hate those so much with all the smart alecky quipping every 2 seconds. This has just a touch of humor, a ton of gorgeous action and adventure, and it is in the style of like a Star Wars, a lived-in, grungy, technological world. You know, lasers, robots, no aliens. There's no alien life in this. We're not touching any of that at this point in the story. This is the first volume of what we hope to be many volumes. I think this is going to be a tremendous success. I am partnering with someone quite huge, hopefully, for the marketing distribution on that. And yeah, it's beautifully illustrated and colored. It's absolutely an amazing book. And again, like I said, I only work with the best. I'm not working with anyone that hasn't worked at Disney, Marvel, DC for decades. That's the people I hire because I know them. I worked there forever, so I can hire those people because I'm friendly with them. And you know, but yeah, this is going to be amazing. You're going to love this. 120 pages. So I do mine like movies. They're standalone stories. You know, we could do multiple volumes depending on how it goes and if it sells well and this and that. But everyone that I do, it has a beginning, middle, and end. So you're not going to be like, oh, continued in volume 2, and you're unsatisfied because you didn't get an ending in volume 1. We'll end the story in volume 1, but we'll have things in the story that leave it open. Like in the first Star Wars, there was they blew up the Death Star, and then Darth Vader's ship flips away, so Darth Vader doesn't die, right? So then we have a chance to have more Star Wars if the movie made any money. That's how I do Dean Cain and Tyrus. Look how gorgeous this is. The Tyrus stuff. Look at this. Come on. This is outstanding. And it's well written, guys. I am a writer. I did sign an 18-month deal with Warner Brothers to develop a thing I had into a TV show or a movie. That was an option there. So I am a good writer. I've been writing for decades. So you're like, because that's a problem with a lot of indie comics. You got these guys, they're great illustrators, and they've been illustrators for decades, and they're not writers, and nobody has had the heart to tell them they're not writers. But writing is a skill. You cannot just write. Everyone thinks they can write. Because if I hand you a drawing, you can see immediately if I can draw or not. If I hand you a book, you can't tell if I can write or not. You got to read the whole thing. And most people can't write. Most people cannot write. And most people doing indie comics can't write. And they need to hire writers. Again, this is the humility to learn that Eric July has. That he hired the Soska sisters, Chuck Dixon, Mike Barron, who are masterful writers, all of them. So you have to have that in your own mind, that you have the humility to learn. Jose Taco, who are you working with on distribution? I don't announce that till the ink is dry on the signatures, buddy. But you'll see. You'll see this stuff. It's awesome stuff. It's awesome stuff. It's God's blessing. Look at how amazing this is. The bad guys walking into the final battle. You know, the regal, the leader there, and all that. I love it. So we're having a ton of fun with this stuff. But yeah, it's fun science fiction. It's not fantasy per se, like Star Wars is fantasy science fiction. There's definitely a spiritual, metaphysical aspect to this that is very deep and very human. There's a ton of love and self-sacrifice in it. But again, you know, I've been a writer forever, and I love to write. I love to tell stories, and I love to draw. So this is a perfect marriage. I think comics are the perfect vehicle for what I've always wanted to do. So, damn, those colors. Yeah, that's what it looks like when someone has been coloring for 30 years. You know, that's I colored the first like 40 pages of this. But when I started drawing the Tyrus book, and I wrote the Dean Cain book, and I wrote Tripoli, and it was just like too busy to color this book. So I went out and I found some help, and you know, here we are. This I colored, this cover here. You know, this is gorgeous. I'm working on the second cover right now. I'm drawing it actually. I'm drawing it in my spare time when I'm not drawing the Tyrus. And these are my colors here. Flying Through Ice. It's a little bit of an homage to Star Tours at Disneyland when I was a child. That ride's going to be 40 years old next year. But yeah, this is the husband and wife. And I put that in there because you never see good families, right? You never see good families in stories anymore. That's all. I love the texture on the ice to go in and paint those white edges to define that stuff. It's time consuming, but it ends up looking gorgeous. But yeah, I had to hire someone to take over the colors for this. I did all this here. I did a ton of the colors, probably a third of the book. Yeah, it's fun. Look at this. These stormtrooper type of characters, the people protesting. You know, it's really fun. Woke that not to be trust dope, don't like healthy family. I sort of understand what you're saying here. The woke people don't like healthy family for sure. What program are you using? If you don't mind me asking. Well, to draw, I like to use pencils and paper and pens, but for the sake of trying to get the Tyrus book done before the Comic-Con at the end of July, I'm using Procreate on the iPad. And then coloring is just Adobe Photoshop. That's pretty much what everyone uses to color. So, and I use a Wacom. I'm hitting it with my finger. It's a big screen. You could draw right on it. The iPad's right here. You draw right on that to draw the black and white for the comic books. So, yeah. Let's see. So it's what time is it now? Oh, it's noon. Okay, so yeah, this is Empyrean. You're gonna absolutely love it. I mean, look how great this stuff is. I'll put this up against Marvel, DC, anyone, and especially indie comics. Like, please, this is better than anyone's stuff out there. It's so much fun. It's so entertaining, and you're going to love it when you get it. So you'll be hearing more about this very soon because the book's practically done. Colors should be done by the end of this week for 120 pages. I'm going to letter it right after that. Lettering takes me about a week for a book that big, maybe a little bit more. Then we edit it. That's probably another week or two to edit, and then it's ready for the printer. You know what I mean? So we'll start taking the crowdfunding orders and all that, and you'll see. You're going to start to see this thing all over the place, and it's a ton of fun. Heroicism, bravery, love, sacrifice, ultra-violent action, and just a lot of thrills. You know, it's everything you want. They've freaking ruined. Look at these environments. I love this page. Just showing this inhospitable world, an ugly, barren desert, a poisonous swamp, lightning storms in these weird valleys, frozen peaks, and lava flow, and a cute little rat next to it, right? What's this place? I don't know. I'm not gonna divulge what that is, but yeah, we have some gorgeous things going on. It's a lot of fun. So, guys, I missed last week. I had a lot going on, but I'm gonna try and do these lives from 11 to noon. Monday through Friday. Fridays is going to be with my friend Jericho. That's a show called Datitude. We talk about being dads and family men and life and all that. And Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific, we still do Double Impact. We have fun and we have laughs and we talk about 80s and 90s action movies. This week's movie is a modern one. I told Jericho to pick an awful movie so we can make fun of it. He said Madam Web, which I've never seen. But I guess we're going to do Madam Web. I don't like Marvel movies. I don't watch them. So I'm going to force myself to watch this chunk of crap, and we're going to make fun of it on Wednesday night. So anyway, go to bigmancomics.com. You can still get a first printing of one of the few remaining copies of Dean Cain All-American Lawman. Make sure you hit the like and you're subscribed. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm Big Man Comics. Everywhere else, I'm Gabe Eltaeb, and you spell it just like that right there, the last name. Make sure you spell that right. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that's how I spell it. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.